Tell you when we're live. Yes. Good morning, everyone. This is Charlotte Pierce. I'm the producer of Ready Row USA. We are in we're wrapping up our 5th year of production, and we've done maybe 150 episodes, I think. But today we're talking about youth rowing. We have Alex Lynn, who's with Community Rowing. Hi, Alex. And he's the manager of youth recreational rowing at Community Rowing in Boston. And I think you're going to tell us a little bit about some other programs, some specific programs you're involved in, like Row Boston. And yeah, that's right, Alex. Okay.
Yes, that's right.
Good. And Ellis Evans Brown, who's actually, as I like to tell people whenever I have him on, my first rowing coach. He got me into it. You're the reason I'm here, Ellis.
Yep. A whole bunch of moms.
The moms from the middle school, yeah.
The moms from the middle school learning to row. Yeah.
Are you in touch with any of them besides me?
I think it's just you.
Yeah.
I think there might be. I'm trying to remember the blonde lady's name. She rowed for a bunch of years.
Yeah, the English lady.
Yeah, the English lady. She rowed for forever.
She was the instigator of it. Yeah.
She was great.
But anyway, like we wanted to. I just thought it was time to talk about youth rowing because as an older rower, a master's rower, we call them. We call ourselves. I like to see young people coming up, and because they become master's rowers eventually, and they help strengthen the sport. And it's also, I see them in different programs that I'm involved in, and I observe, I see what it does for kids. So why don't you tell us, Alex, why don't you let us know what your specific involvement is at Community Rowing and how you got involved with coaching kids?
Yeah, I'd be happy to explain that. So yeah, I have been the youth rec program manager for about, I think, roughly 2 years now. And one of my main goals or missions as for that job is to help promote rowing and try to make it more diverse, equitable, and inclusive in the Boston and Cambridge communities. And so what I do is sometimes I will go to activities fairs, going to the various schools in those communities to bring ergs, show kids how to row, and just talk more about Sierra's youth programs, which range from the recreational level to the development level to Row Boston, and then finally youth competitive rowing. And so it's been great working with those kids because I think rowing is a great tool, a great sport for those youth athletes because, from my personal experience, I've done quite a lot of ball sports and other traditional sports in this country, but I wasn't really the best out of those sports,
Yeah.
And when I first started rowing in college, I never heard of the sport. We didn't have it in high school. And so just getting into the sport was like a breath of fresh air because I realized I was like pretty good at it. And I wanted to not get just better from there, And so, it's great to just kind of like, join the sport that kind of like showcases my hidden abilities. And so after rowing in college for all 4 years and continuing to row after college, I decided that I wanted to give back to community and, start being a coach, start recruiting kids from the high schools and the middle schools as well, and really just make the sport really well known because who knows, you might have someone that may be tall and maybe not great at basketball or soccer or any other sports, or you might have someone that is probably they think they're not athletic and they have no ambitions of joining a sport, but once they join rowing, it turns things around. It really just opens their eyes and be like, wow, I'm actually having fun with sport and I might be pretty talented at this, so why don't I go a little bit further?
And so if you can't put a ball ball
Yeah.
in the hoop. You might be able to, or sometimes I've been hearing about parents that are reluctant to put their kids into sports like football
Yeah.
because of the injury potential, especially at a young age.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot.
Yeah. Well, let's introduce Ellis. You are the head coach at Arlington-Belmont crew, which is a high school crew.
Yep.
And tell us a little bit about your rowing background and how you got involved in working with kids.
Well, so my rowing story is very unique. I started at UNH crew, but after my first season, I ended up leaving that crew because I started working for the drayers at the drayer factory in New Hampshire.
Yep.
And
Colleen
rowing the
and
single. Colleen and Jim, and rowing the single instead. So I kind of went immediately into trying out for the national team because there's not much sculling for people that age there wasn't. There now is under 23s and a lot more opportunities for young rowers, but that stuff was just getting off the ground when I was in my rowing career start.
Right.
So we rowed for a couple of years up there, and then I went to New York Athletic Club, and the coaches at New York Athletic Club got me a job with Pelham Community Rowing, which is a big time club now down in New York. And, it was really fun. I'll kind of always remember that because we were part of the fundraising to get the boathouse built. We were part of growing the numbers, growing the adult team, getting enough membership and enough buy-in from the community so that we could get permission to build our boathouse from the parks department. And then, the final years that I left, they were going to nationals and winning at states. And it was really cool to just be like, look around and see how much you could change a community. Just change.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
where was that again? Where was it?
In Pelham, New York.
Pelham. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Pelham Community Rowing. They're like right on the edge of the Bronx, the northwest corner. So yeah, and then I got hurt, and
as one does sometimes.
Yeah, it was a pretty obvious choice for me to keep on coaching, and at some point while I was at CRI, actually, I got the bug to start trying to become a director or be able to have more impact on the club. So it's been fun.
And then you went to Boston Latin, right? Or
yeah. Started the boys team there.
I used to see you guys out there you bring all the ergs out of that little silly little room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that program too has totally changed. And they're much more professional and quick than they used to be. It's a lot, it's fun to watch, but you can see how your impact can, really transfer to someone's life. So, yeah. So now I'm in my first year here at Arlington, and so far so good.
Yeah.
I think we're doing a pretty.
And you also have another job too, so it's kind of a pack. Yeah, right.
I have a full-time job other than this.
Yeah.
But we are, we almost full last year's winter training tent. Kids are definitely more involved. We're starting a master's program.
We're getting a little breakup on your audio there, but yeah.
No.
So at Arlington-Belmont, you've got some of the parents coming in, right?
So we're starting an adult program. I want to start a middle school program. Might be too aggressive though.
Yeah. Well, we have some questions. One that I just pulled from another conversation, but maybe both of you could answer this. At what age should kids start rowing, and how early is too early? I know there's some concern about when they're still growing. Is that going to mess with their growing?
Do you want to go, Alex, or I can?
I can go. Yeah. So on the CRI website, the earliest age it'll say is like age 12 and over. But I've had some athletes, some youth athletes that kind of started at a little bit of an earlier age. I would say the earliest I've seen is like age 10 years old. And it's only because they were so interested in dedicated sport that they're kind of like, okay, like I want to try this out as soon as I can. And that's great, you know. And also with our middle school programs, there's going to be kids, younger than 12, but they're kind of restricted to indoor rowing. And then we'll sometimes do the field trips as well, where they'll get on the water, on the barges to start rowing, So, I think I'd say my personal answer would be like, yes, there is an age where it's a little bit too early to start rowing. So like, maybe any single digit number, like if you start rowing at 9, that might not be a good idea. You might want to wait a little bit longer for that athlete to develop a little bit, both physically and physiologically. But like once you kind of get around like age 10 or 11 or 12, I think that's when you can start to really, dip your toes in more into the sport. And then right around age 12, it's kind of like, all right, I can start doing more sessions on the water, on the ergs. I can start to kind of like train my body and my mind to do this sport,
Yeah. And Ellis, do you, you can elaborate on that, but I was just wondering if there's, at AB Crew, when do you start? Yeah.
I'd say it's like, it kind of depends on how tall the kid is, but the boats, for the most part, and the ergs are all made for someone who's about 12 years old at max. Otherwise they're rowing with the oar like here above their head, and they can't really row that way.
Yeah.
So like got a really tall 9 or 10-year-old, they might start early, but
yeah,
it's really just uncomfortable to row when you can't even keep the oar in the water. So yeah.
But isn't there a danger of like in a growing body, like just dislocating stuff and stressing it out and stuff?
Well, I think like the overwhelming evidence has been shown that like if kids start young in athletics and know how to stretch, then it's only beneficial for them.
That's a good point. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I definitely second that opinion as well.
Yeah. There's a couple at Cambridge Boat Club. Someone built a couple little tiny singles for like 7 to 10-year-olds, like really small kids, and they're made of wood. They're a lot smaller.
That's cute. I've never seen those out on the river.
You should see. They're still in a boathouse somewhere. I know.
Yeah. So, anything to add to that, either of you, or about development and what's like the mental state like of a kid, like say they're 12, 14 years old?
Well, yeah, that's the other thing is I found teaching middle schoolers to row can be really difficult because
yeah
like they're just all over the place,
proverbial herding cats.
yeah
So you have to be patient, you have to be like kind of meet them where they are, I guess. Yeah
But it definitely helps them a lot, like the kids, because Boston Latin School was 7 to 12, so we would get kids that we would call 60s in there, and they'd be 12.
Yeah.
I just kind of like hired a whole separate coach and put them all in Cox quads.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't it fun when they just kind of like get it? They're in the boat and they sort of get it.
And those first, it got them a whole nother year of rowing before they went to novice. So by the time they got to varsity, they were, pretty well experienced. It was great.
Yeah. And Alex, there's can you tell us a little bit about the Row Boston and then this new program that I guess did it roll into Row Boston or vice versa?
As far as youth recreational rowing going to Row Boston,
yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say so because we've had our youth recreational programs for quite a while, and the same thing
Yeah.
applies for Row Boston.
Okay.
But what I'll often see is we'll have a lot of our youth recreational athletes do a Learn to Row class or a Crew League class, which is like level 2 of Learn to Row. And then if they ever want to like go a little bit further, and they're part of the Boston Public School District, then they will try out for the Row Boston team.
Okay.
And so, we kind of the youth recreational rowing programs is kind of like a pipeline into the Row Boston programs, and sometimes our youth competitive programs. So, it's that program, Youth Rec, is a kind of a stepping stone for those kids that have never rowed before, have always want to try it out, and if they like it, great, they can move on to the next level. But if not, then it's like, okay, that's totally fine. At least you tried, we did everything we can, but best of luck, So, but
Yeah.
we, it's more of a pipeline for youth recreational rowing to, for those athletes to try out other programs
Right.
if they so desire to
Mhm.
try at a more competitive level or just want to get more rowing sessions in.
And Ellis, I know that Arlington-Belmont, is a high school team, and probably this is a situation with many sort of similar teams, but you're trying to make it competitive without being, brutal, for lack of a better word. So how, parents are concerned about that, like, I don't want my kid to be like in it, or some parents probably want their kid to be in a really intense. I don't know, like, how do you deal with the parents?
Well,
There's a couple questions in there. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So my long-term coaching philosophy ever since I started leading the squad at Latin school, and I was going to be in charge of the boys, is like to try to figure out how to make rowers that don't burn out and don't get hurt. So I think a lot of it is like trying to teach them how to train themselves and how to stretch themselves out. I spend a lot of time after practice answering injury questions, like, this is what you should go home and do, like,
And do they do it?
yeah, they do.
That's good.
And I think, you're trying to win, so like, the best that you can do is sort of provide the framework. And then just like, that you have to sort of like make the culture about sort of respect and fun. So it's a lot of just a lot of repeating things that you get bored of saying over and over again, but like they're teenagers that, it sinks into their brain.
I mean, it works for people in my age group too, just like the iterations, over and over again. And sometimes you get an epiphany, but.
Well, yeah. I like to remind them, for example, that like this is the only sport where there's no coach, there's no timeout, and you can literally feel it when somebody next to you gives up. Like you have all three of those things going on, and so that means that there needs to be like a certain respect amongst each other, expectation, and that has to be fun. It can't be like, I don't know. It's got to be fun.
Yeah. And Alex, any thoughts about, working on competitiveness and keeping the fun?
Yeah, so I think, one of my other goals as the program manager is, it's more so making the programs fun for these athletes. And, we'll offer some kind of competitive elements to our youth recreational program. So, when I hire coaches, I will suggest to them, it's like, hey, if you want, I would prefer that you have your athletes work on technique and just having a fun row, but if you have a good group of athletes that want to take things an extra level or the next level up, then maybe we can throw in some pieces just to kind of excite them and, really just get them, I wouldn't say ready for youth competitive rowing in a short amount of time, but it's like, hey, if you're interested in joining a competitive team, at the junior or collegiate or elite level, this is what they'll do. They'll do like 500-meter pieces, short, fun pieces to get them excited for what might come ahead.
Yeah,
But
got it.
it's more so just making rowing not just fun, but also safe as well. Because we want to create a very safe environment for those athletes and not have them become agitated when they get their feet in the boat and they start rowing. Because we'll have a lot of athletes that will one, probably haven't swum before or have limited swimming experience, and so when they get in the boat and they're like, I would say like 2 feet above the water, they'll start to be a little bit agitated. And
Wow.
as coaches, we try to comfort them and just make sure that's like, you're in a safe environment. We have certified coaches that will help you out in these kinds of, I wouldn't say situations, but in these environments. So like we try to reassure these athletes that they're in good hands, and we will do whatever we can as coaches to ensure that these athletes are having a fun and safe row.
Yeah, it must be like you're always on. You have to have eyes in the back of your head. I mean, I see those kids on the dock. They're just like. It seems like it's a very high mindfulness that you have to have as a coach.
It is, yeah. Like it's not just like you got to make them better rowers, but it's really just like reassure them and just making sure that they're feeling included, they're feeling heard, and they're being seen all the time.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Anything to add to that, Ellis? Is it about safety, being a coach, being a head coach, and being in charge of that?
So, I mean, without going into it too much, but part of the reason why I have the job at Arlington was to sort of just like confront some of the social drama that was going on the teams. So, we've worked really hard at, making sure that there's a safe place for people to like voice any concerns. I think that that's really like hard, is to like figure out when somebody needs to talk.
Yeah, because they don't want to. They don't want to.
They don't want
necessarily.
To talk to coach.
Yeah.
So one of the things we've started doing is like always making sure there's a group of coaches, so that the athlete doesn't have to walk up and be alone.
Do you have a peer mentoring program, like with the captains or stuff like that?
Yeah, we're actually starting that. Me and Clara.
Good.
Yeah, the varsity girls are going to have a little sister on the novice girls team in the spring. So, yeah. And what else? There's been a lot more team bonding events. We did a lot more just team sort of marketing and fundraising events this year. Just like things to get everyone out, get to know each other outside of the boats, I think are super important. And then just like Alex said, like making sure that it's always a safe place. Like, for example, I have one girl on my team who gets these gnarly migraines like every day. So I have to check in with her every practice-ish, but I know she's annoyed when I check in with her.
But then she's there. She keeps doing it, right? That's pretty cool. Yeah. It's great.
But I have to like, I'm like, give me on a scale of 10, like how bad is it today? Yeah.
That's great. Well, we have a couple more minutes, and I just wanted to throw it open. I know, Alice, you had said something about some new regulations or something.
So
with U.S. rowing, is it?
I had assumed that because it said Ready Row, that we might be talking with Kelsey's mom about a new U.S. rowing rule that got made, where they're not letting anyone row for another affiliation anymore.
Or another affiliation. So, like unaffiliated, or?
Yeah, like no unaffiliated. You can't, like, if you're an Arlington-Belmont athlete, you can only row for Arlington-Belmont until you like change your affiliation.
Okay.
And I think it was aimed at masters rowing who do the Rolodex thing and really just make it not fun. But it really, if it stays in effect through next summer, it will just kind of cancel a lot of summer rowing industry.
Interesting.
So it needs to get repealed. So maybe you could well, I can find you Jen's contact info. You can talk to her about it. It's her crusade.
Yeah, well, why don't we put that? We'll put a little blurb on the website. You know, on the show notes thing. This is I'm flashing it up now. The youth.
But because
Ready
that's
Row
the name
USA.
of their that's the name of their summer program is Ready Set Row. It's the one that they
I
run.
know that's not Ready Row USA.
I just
that got
I'm too
confused.
Busy. I got confused.
No, they got confused at the rowing convention too, because I'm a media partner at the U.S. Rowing Convention, and someone showed up and said, you know, is this Ready Set Row? But I interviewed the woman who runs that. I can't remember her name right now. Anyway,
well,
it was just a great program. Love it.
Yeah, I think she's just involved with it. Someone else runs it, but it's a great program. It does a lot of this stuff we were talking about today. Just really
a lot of the mental health stuff and you know,
building individual mental strength.
Mm-hmm.
Super cool.
Exactly. Yeah. Alex, any thoughts? I know you. There's the Yeti. Can you? That's a indoor competition for kids, right?
Yes. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because you know, I would say, you know, despite that youth recreational rowing is very important in the CR community, I would say that the Let's Row middle school program is what really starts it all for these athletes wanting to start rowing. And so the Yeti, and in fact, we're actually going to change Yeti to the Let's Row Championships. Okay. Basically, it's a indoor event where we hold it at each venue. So this year we held it at the New Balance track in Alston, and we have about, I would say, 1,500 to 2,000 middle schoolers from various schools in the Boston community, Boston Public Schools, come in and they row for a certain amount of time in teams of 3 and 4. And
that must take an intense amount of organization.
It was, it was. I would say I definitely lost a little bit of sleep, you know, but it was really well worth just kind of like getting everything organized, because we haven't hosted formally Yeti this year for like the past 2 or 3 years because of COVID, and so getting back into this event was definitely just like a great way to kind of like jumpstart. I would like just kind of like jumpstart the event, but also really get more kids interested in youth rowing. And so, you know, we have all these middle schoolers and some high schoolers as well from the Boston Public School District just come in, represent their schools, and just row for a certain amount of minutes. And you know, it's a race, you know. It's just like Crash Beast, you know. But for middle schools and high schoolers. And not only that, we show these kids how great this event is, but it's a great gateway for these athletes who probably never touched an oar before, or have probably, you know, have done some rowing but want to get more into this sport. And so we've had a few athletes just like do this event and then sign up for our youth programs in the summer and the fall as well. Fantastic. And it's been great, you know. And so I would say like the Let's Row middle school programs is like it's a really great gateway for kids to know about rowing, and then if they want to know more about rowing, then they can try out the youth recreational programs, and that's when they can really start to like put their skills onto water, which is great.
Were they out there on the water this fall? Because I was out there in my single. I saw some young kids in a barge.
Yeah.
And then I passed them, you know, and they started trying to race me. It was really cute.
They're great. They are very enthusiastic, just full of high energy.
Flailing around.
You know, like It's
I don't know if you were on that barge, but it was really
no,
fun.
no. Usually, so the middle school manager, Javier, he's more in charge of organizing the field trips and the barge stuff. So
Yeah.
he is kind of the go-to guy for bringing these schools to CRI to learn how to row.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we've had a lot of schools and individual athletes come in and just kind of like row in the barge and take
Mhm.
lessons and try out our fall youth rec classes. So
Yeah.
it's been absolutely great. And
And
on top, oh yeah,
sorry,
you
go
can go
ahead.
ahead.
No, I think AB Crew has a summer program, right, at the recreation department.
We
Is that
do, yeah.
kind of similar to
So,
an
well,
intro?
it's it's Learn to Row. It's we won like a week-long camp.
Yeah.
So you sign up, you get 5 days. We're trying to open it up through the Belmont Recreational Department too this next summer if we can.
Lovely.
And yeah, it just a lot of those kids end up signing up for novice the next
Do they really?
fall.
So yeah, they don't. It doesn't scare them off.
Well, you got to put your funnest coaches there.
That's right, like you. Yeah. Well, we have a question. Sorry.
I'm gonna take a week off from moving this summer and go do it because
awesome. Yeah.
I didn't go it last year and I regret it now. I think my body needs the rest.
Now, do any of your kids go into Crash Bees? Either of you?
No.
No.
Well, they haven't happened yet, right?
No, it's February, I think. But you
Yeah.
know, yeah. Do you think they will?
We might.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some kids who might want to do it. I like to, Crash Bees is. I feel like I tell everyone that they should go once in PR just for the experience.
Right.
Because it's like you can get a PR out of that one-time experience, but then like it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. I think we're going to be there. Rich Whalen is organizing it now.
Yep.
The Gentle Giant guy.
That's my third job.
We're going to be doing interviews with the winners and stuff. We'll have a little booth there. So
did you know that I took a morning job coaching the Masters at Gentle Giant?
No, maybe I'll come join you.
Yeah, the Scullers too. You should get down.
I'm taking fitness for fun with Kelly Houston Wednesdays and Fridays.
Rich kind of put me almost immediately in charge of the competitive Masters Scullers. So
sweet. All right, you go. Well, we have another question, but I think that's for a topic for a whole nother episode. Is like, how can we start a youth program at our club? So let's put that on a future thing because I think that's just a whole sort of structural discussion. But
sure,
I'm glad there's interest out there about it. And you guys this is really good. And I think, there's a lot more to be said. So we'll revisit the topic and please, if you have a specific aspect of it you'd like to talk about, just propose an episode. And I'd
absolutely.
love to, because I just really believe in, getting kids excited and having fun. And like part of, for Masters rower, me, is being out on the river and I take pictures of the blue herons and you see turtles on the logs. It's just wonderful. So I like to see them getting involved. Thank you guys so much.
Of course.
You're welcome.
Happy to help.
All right. To be continued.
Have a great day. Yeah.
You too.
Thank you.
Take care. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.